Have you ever known that feeling? The profound quiet that comes after the storm? Not the eye of the storm, where the chaos is just taking a breath, but the true after. When the winds have died down, the rain has stopped, and the air itself feels washed clean. There's a stillness, a strange, fragile peace. You might still be standing amidst some wreckage, emotionally speaking. Things might not be fixed, but the battle, the intense, soul-shaking struggle, is over. For so long, maybe you were living in the dark, a time when everything felt confusing, heavy, or broken. A period of loss, of doubt, of deep inner turmoil, where it felt like parts of you were dissolving into ash. The ancient alchemists, who were really the first depth psychologists, had a name for this. They called it the nigredo, the blackening, a necessary but incredibly painful descent into darkness, where the old self has to fall apart. But what happens next? What is this strange, quiet light that begins to seep in when the darkness recedes? This is what we're here to talk about today. This is the stage of purification. The alchemists called this next phase the albedo, the whitening. And it's one of the most misunderstood and most beautiful parts of any healing journey. It's not about becoming perfect or stainless. It's not a sudden blinding flash of enlightenment. It's much quieter, much more gentle. It is the slow, steady dawning of clarity. It is the washing of the soul. So what does this purification really feel like in our own lives, after our own personal storms? Let's sit with that for a moment. The first sign is often that stillness we spoke of. For a long time, your mind might have been a whirlwind of painful thoughts, anxieties, and regrets. It was loud in there. And suddenly, there are moments of silence. It's not forced. It just arrives. It's the simple, profound absence of the inner torment that you had grown so used to. In this quiet, for the first time in a long while, you can actually hear yourself think. You can feel your own heartbeat. You're not just surviving anymore. You're simply being. This quiet is the fertile ground where everything new begins to grow. From this stillness, a new kind of seeing emerges. During the darkness, the nigredo, it's almost impossible to see things clearly. We are lost in the story of our pain. We identify with it completely. We are the hurt, the failure, the grief. But in the purification of albedo, something shifts. The soot begins to wash away. You can look back at what happened, at the person you were, and see it with a compassionate distance. It's like looking at an old photograph instead of being trapped inside the chaotic moment it was taken. You can see the patterns. You can understand, perhaps for the first time, why you did what you did, or why others acted as they did. The intense, raw emotional charge begins to fade, and what's left is a cleaner, more honest truth. This isn't about blaming or excusing, it is simply about seeing. And in this clear seeing, there is an incredible liberation. You realize the pain was an experience you went through, not the definition of who you are.
This leads to the most vital part of purification, self-acceptance. As you begin to see yourself more clearly, you start to see all of yourself, the parts you're proud of, and the parts that you've kept hidden in the shadows, the mistakes, the vulnerabilities, the fears. During the darkness, we often fight these parts of ourselves or hate them. But in the light of albedo, you stop fighting. You realize that these so-called dark parts were often just trying to protect you or get your attention. They hold immense energy and wisdom. Purification isn't about getting rid of these parts. It's about washing them clean of shame and fear and welcoming them back home into the wholeness of you. It's the moment you can look at your own reflection with all its history and imperfections and say, I see you, and you are welcome here. This is the beginning of true inner peace. Carl Jung, whose wisdom gently guides our explorations here, understood this process profoundly. He once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The purification of albedo is exactly that. It's the result of having bravely sat in the dark, and now you can finally see what was there all along. You're not adding anything new to yourself. You are simply uncovering the pure, essential self that was always buried underneath the noise and the pain. You're remembering who you were before the world told you who you should be. This process is a return to your own core. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold lacquer. The belief is that the piece is more beautiful for having been broken. The cracks are not something to hide. They're part of the object's history, and they are highlighted with gold. This is the spirit of purification. It doesn't erase your scars, it illuminates them. It honors the journey you have taken. The pain you endured carved pathways for this new light to enter. Your healing doesn't make you a flawless, unbroken thing. It makes you a work of art, mended with the gold of self-awareness and compassion. Your supposed imperfections become the most beautiful and resilient parts of you. So if you find yourself in this quiet, tender space after a long period of darkness, be gentle with yourself. You are in a sacred phase. This isn't a time for rushing or for grand plans. It's a time for listening, for noticing the simple truths that are emerging from within. It's a time to let the dust settle and to breathe in this new clean air. You have done the hardest work. You sat through the night. Now, allow yourself to witness the dawn. What is one small, simple truth you have discovered about yourself after coming through a difficult time? I would be so honored to read your thoughts in the comments below. It's in sharing our quiet discoveries that we remind each other we are not alone. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me. Remember, your healing is not a race or a competition. It is a sacred, gentle return to the truth of who you are. May you walk gently into the light of your own understanding.